Has someone close to you started changing in small but unsettling ways over the past year? Most people believe that when death comes in old age, it's sudden. A heart attack, a fall, a final breath in the night. But in truth, the body often whispers long before it stops. Soft, almost invisible signs appear, not in a single moment, but over months, even a year, before the end. And here's the hard part. Most families miss them. These changes are subtle at first, easy to brush off. Oh, it's just aging, we say. Just a little off day. It's only later, in hindsight, that loved ones look back and realize the signs were there all along. But by then, the time to prepare, to connect, to make those final memories is already slipping away. That's why this video matters. We're going to walk you through 5 deeply important signs that often show up a year before a loved one passes. Some of them may seem familiar, others might surprise you. But all of them are signals, quiet messages from the body, telling us that it's starting to let go. By recognizing these early, you're not just spotting symptoms. You're giving yourself and your loved one the chance to plan, to care better, and to create moments filled with dignity, closeness, and peace. So stay with us until the end. These 5 signs won't just prepare you practically. They'll guide you emotionally through one of life's most sacred and difficult transitions. Let's begin. Sign number 1. Noticeable, ongoing weight loss. One of the first and clearest signs that a person may be entering their final year is unexpected weight loss. And it rarely starts dramatically. It might be a favorite shirt that suddenly hangs too loose, a belt that's always needing to be tightened, or an appetite that used to be hearty, now slowly fading away. Families often shrug it off. It's just age. He's eating less because he's not as active. But here's the truth. When someone starts losing weight without trying, especially in their later years, the body is speaking, and it's time to listen. Weight loss like this usually means the body isn't absorbing nutrients the way it used to. Muscle mass begins to break down. Vital systems slow. Digestion may falter. Even if they're eating, they might not be getting what they need. Aging does come with some natural changes in body mass, yes. But when it happens too fast, or continues over time, it's often a sign of deeper physiological shifts. Maybe the digestive system isn't breaking down food as efficiently. Maybe the body has stopped processing protein correctly, leading to muscle wasting, a silent but serious danger. And when strength declines, mobility follows. So does immunity. And the risk of infections, falls, and complications increases dramatically. Now add to that a fading appetite. As people near the end of life, they often don't feel hunger like they once did. Food loses its appeal. Taste diminishes. They might start skipping meals altogether or eating just a few bites here and there. This isn't just a mood change. It's the body quietly preparing. It no longer signals the brain with urgency. It begins slowly to power down. That means less energy, less muscle, and a fragile body struggling to keep up. Then there's the silent role of illness. Many chronic conditions, like heart failure, kidney disease, or undetected cancer, can trigger weight loss long before they present with obvious symptoms. Even emotional factors like depression or early dementia can reduce interest in food, beginning a dangerous downward spiral where the body isn't getting the fuel it needs to survive. Of course, families often respond with love. More meals, more snacks, favorite dishes, protein shakes. And sometimes that works, for a while. But if the weight continues to drop, even with effort, that's when we must shift our focus. At that stage, it's not just about calories. It's about comfort, hydration, and gently supporting what the body can still manage. Forcing big meals won't help, but offering soft, easy-to-digest foods, small portions, and encouragement, that can make all the difference. If you've noticed someone you love growing thinner, weaker, less steady on their feet, this is your signal. It's not just about appearance, it's the body asking for attention, and it's your chance to respond with care, understanding, and presence. Recognizing this message now gives you something incredibly valuable: the ability to prepare, not just physically, but emotionally. With clarity, with compassion, and with the strength to make every remaining moment truly meaningful. Sign number 2, deep, unshakable. Fatigue and weakness, one of the most visible and heart-wrenching shifts that can happen in the final year of life, is profound exhaustion, the kind that no amount of rest can fix. We're not talking about the usual tiredness that comes after a busy day. This is something different. It's a heavy, lingering fatigue that seems to live deep inside the body. Getting out of bed becomes a task. Walking across a room feels like a journey, and things that once brought joy, dressing up, cooking, talking to loved ones, now feel like too much. It's not laziness. It's not giving up. It's the body slowly redirecting its energy, not toward activity, but toward survival. You see, as we approach the end of life, the body instinctively begins conserving what little energy it has left. The heart may no longer pump blood with the same force. Circulation becomes weaker. Muscles don't receive the oxygen they once did. Every move becomes harder because the body is simply not fueling itself in the same way anymore. This is more than just growing old. This is a physiological shift, the body beginning to prioritize only what's absolutely essential. Even metabolism slows down. That engine inside all of us that keeps things running, converting food into fuel, begins to sputter. It doesn't power movement anymore. It shifts into low gear. So the person may begin sleeping longer, taking more naps, needing more downtime, and often dozing off even in the middle of the day. And sometimes, the change comes suddenly. They may seem okay in the morning, even smile, talk, move around, but by afternoon, it's as if someone flipped a switch. They're drained, distant, barely able to keep their eyes open. But here's the most painful part: the emotional toll. Many elderly people who've lived full, proud, independent lives begin to feel frustrated, even ashamed, by this weakness. They might pull away from conversations, avoid family gatherings, or stop doing the hobbies they once loved. Not because they don't care, but because they simply don't have the energy anymore. It's heartbreaking to see, and it often leads to isolation, not just physically, but emotionally. They stop trying, they retreat, and that only speeds up the decline. As a family member, watching this unfold can be confusing, even frustrating. It's easy to think they just need to get moving again. But the reality is, forcing activity can cause more harm than good. What they need most isn't a push, it's understanding. Let them rest. Let them move at their own pace. Most importantly, let them know they are still deeply loved, even if they can't do what they once did. Because in these moments, it's not about productivity. It's about presence. It's about making them feel safe, heard, and held. If someone you care for is sleeping more, struggling to walk, losing their strength, and not recovering after rest, please don't ignore it. This is a sign, a signal, that their body is shifting, quietly preparing for what's next. And this is your moment to cherish every gentle conversation, every quiet laugh, every hand held. No pressure, no expectations, just love, peace, and care. If you're still with us and this message has touched you, please type number 2 in the comments below. It lets us know you're here and that this content is helping someone, somewhere. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on the bell icon so you never miss a message that might help you care for someone you love. Sign number 3, confusion, forgetfulness, or sudden withdrawal. Another sign that can quietly appear, often months, even a full year before passing, is a change in how someone thinks, speaks, or connects. You may notice that someone who was once sharp and present begins to slip away mentally, little by little. Maybe they forget words mid-sentence. Maybe they repeat the same story 3 times without realizing. They might get confused about where they are or seem unsure of what day it is. They might even forget the names of people they've known for decades. At first, it's easy to chalk it up to normal aging. After all, who doesn't misplace their keys or forget a birthday? But this is different. This is a noticeable change in personality, awareness, and connection. The brain, like every organ in the body, relies on a steady stream of oxygen and nutrients to function. But as the heart and lungs weaken and circulation slows, less oxygen reaches the brain. And when that happens, cognitive function begins to fade. This isn't always dementia. It may not even be a diagnosed condition. It's just the body, gradually slowing its systems, including the mind. And when this happens, the person you love may start to withdraw. Not just mentally, but emotionally too. They might talk less, engage less, choose to sit quietly instead of participate in conversations. This withdrawal doesn't always come from sadness. Sometimes it comes from mental exhaustion, from a brain that's struggling to keep up. And just like with fatigue, the answer here isn't pressure or correction. It's presence. It's kindness. Instead of reminding them of what they forgot, remind them that they're loved, exactly as they are. Because in these quiet changes, the person inside is still there. They may seem far away at times, but your love still reaches them. Sometimes, the changes are quiet at first. A little confusion here, a forgotten face there. But over time, these subtle shifts become more apparent. You might notice your loved one becoming easily disoriented, struggling with decisions they used to make without a second thought, or looking at familiar faces and places as though they're strangers. There may be brief, precious moments of clarity, a sparkle in their eyes, a sudden recognition, followed by a wave of confusion that makes those moments feel like a fading dream. Emotional withdrawal. As someone nears the end of their journey, it's not uncommon for them to slowly retreat into themselves. You may see them talking less, engaging less, spending long hours in silence, not because they've stopped caring, but because the brain no longer processes emotional energy in the way it once did. Conversations become exhausting. Even simple noise feels overwhelming. Social settings that once brought joy may now trigger anxiety or withdrawal. They're not pushing you away on purpose. Their world is simply becoming quieter, smaller, more inward. And with that quiet often comes changes in mood. Some people become easily irritated or anxious, reacting to small things in ways that feel out of character. Others become strangely calm, detached from the things they once loved. You may see them lose interest in hobbies, stop asking questions, or seem indifferent to things that once brought them joy. This isn't just a shift in personality. It's the mind adjusting to the slow shutdown of the body. When cognitive function declines, emotions become harder to access, harder to express, and the person you love may stop reacting to the world around them the way they used to. For families, this can be one of the most painful phases. It can feel like you're losing them before they're actually gone. But it's important to remember, this isn't their choice. They're not choosing to be distant or silent. They're simply following the rhythm their body is now setting. Instead of trying to pull them back into conversation, try sitting with them. Gently, quietly. Let your presence speak louder than your words. Reassure them with your touch, your calmness, your love. Even if they don't respond in the way they used to, even if their eyes don't always meet yours, they still feel your presence. They still sense your love. So if your loved one seems more forgetful, less engaged, or lost in thought, don't dismiss it. These are often early signs that the mind and body are preparing for a deeper transition. This is the time to slow down, to be patient, to cherish the still moments, to create a space that feels safe, familiar, and peaceful. Because even when the words begin to fade, the feeling of love that never leaves. Sign number 4, repeated infections and delayed healing. As the body nears the end of its journey, the immune system begins to falter, quietly, but significantly. You might notice that someone who rarely got sick now seems to catch every cold, every cough, every bug that's going around. Minor illnesses turn into major challenges, and simple injuries, a tiny scratch, a small bruise, begin to heal slowly, or not at all. This isn't random. It's a clear sign that the body is no longer capable of defending or repairing itself the way it used to. One of the biggest red flags is repeated infections. Pneumonia, urinary tract infections, UTIs, skin infections, mouth sores. They come more often. They take longer to heal. And the treatments that once worked no longer bring the same results. Families may hope it's just a one-time illness. But when infections become frequent, persistent, or strangely hard to treat, it's often the body showing that it's struggling, deeply. Even strong antibiotics may seem to have less impact. The person might need stronger meds, longer rest, multiple treatments for problems that in the past would have cleared up in days. That's because when blood flow slows down, when organs don't function efficiently, when energy is being saved instead of spent, healing gets put on the back burner. There's another silent danger here: chronic wounds. If you see that cuts or bruises aren't healing, if skin breaks reopen, if there are sores, especially around pressure points like the back or heels, it may be because circulation is compromised. Without healthy blood flow, oxygen and nutrients don't reach the skin, and when the skin doesn't heal, it becomes vulnerable to pain, to infection, and to further decline. For someone who's not moving around much, bed sores become a real risk. And if they aren't caught early, they can become dangerous, even life-threatening. What's most challenging is that infections in the final year of life don't always present in typical ways. There might not be a fever. There might not be visible symptoms. Instead, the person may simply become more tired, more confused, less interested in eating, less mentally present. These are often the first warning signs of infection in older adults, and they can be easy to miss. That's why it's so important to pay attention to even the smallest changes. Recognizing them early can help ease discomfort, reduce suffering, and guide better decisions about care. Watching a loved one go through repeated infections can be emotionally exhausting. It's tempting to keep pushing. One more hospital stay, one more round of treatment. But sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is shift the focus from curing to comforting. Keep them hydrated. Keep their skin clean, soft, and dry. Create a peaceful environment. Be near, because at this stage, comfort is everything. And your presence, your steady, gentle presence, can bring more healing than medicine ever could. Sometimes, offering comfort does more for a person's soul than another round of treatment ever could. When the body begins to slow down, reducing stress becomes a quiet act of mercy, more powerful than chasing cures that only prolong discomfort. If you're still with me, and you found these reflections meaningful, please type number 4 in the comments, just so I know you're here, walking this journey with us. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on the bell, so you never miss these deeply human moments we share together. Your support keeps this mission going, one heartfelt message at a time. Now, let's continue with sign number 5. Significant changes in breathing and circulation. This is one of the clearest and most profound signals that the body is preparing for its final chapter. You may begin to notice subtle shifts in how your loved one breathes. Their breaths may come slower, shallower, softer than before. At times, they might pause between breaths, long, still silences, before the next breath gently returns. Their breathing may also speed up for a moment, then suddenly slow, in a way that feels unpredictable and often unsettling. There's a particular rhythm called Cheney-Stokes respiration, a pattern where breathing becomes deep and rapid, then fades into long pauses. It may begin gradually, but as time passes, this rhythm becomes more noticeable and more frequent. You might also see changes in circulation. Fingers, toes, even their nose or ears may begin to feel cool to the touch. The skin may take on a pale, bluish, or mottled appearance, especially around the extremities. These aren't random symptoms. They're signs that the body is redirecting blood flow to the vital organs, reducing circulation to areas it no longer deems essential. It's a powerful and sobering reminder that the heart is growing weaker and energy is being conserved. Breathing may become more labored, even when doing very little. Just sitting up in bed, turning their head, or saying a few words can leave them feeling winded or lightheaded. You may see them breathing through their mouth more often, or notice that they suddenly need to pause mid-sentence to catch their breath. If they once walked across a room with ease, but now can barely sit up without gasping, that's a sign the lungs are starting to lose their strength. Sometimes, a buildup of fluid in the lungs makes this even more difficult. You might hear a gentle gurgle in their chest, a persistent cough, or a sense of tightness they can't quite explain. Many assume it's just a cold or congestion. But in the elderly, especially those nearing life's final stages, these symptoms often point to a deeper decline in lung function. This is why you may see them avoiding lying flat. They may find it easier to rest in a recliner or propped up with several pillows, anything that helps them breathe just a little more easily. For families, watching these changes unfold is often frightening. Your instinct is to help, to encourage them to breathe deeper, to call a doctor, to believe something urgent can still be fixed. But many times, these aren't emergencies. They're the body's natural way of slowing down, of easing itself into a softer rhythm. These signs may not be reversible, but they can be soothed. Keeping the room cool and calm, running a humidifier, offering small sips of water, these small comforts can make a profound difference. In some cases, A bit of oxygen therapy or light medication may help ease their discomfort, but the goal isn't to fight the change. It's to support their peace. If you start noticing cold hands or feet, a blue tint to the skin, or irregular breathing, take a moment. These are often signs that the body is drawing inward, preserving its last reserves of energy. It's a moment to pause, to be fully present, to surround them with quiet love and a sense of safety. Because at this stage, in the final weeks or months of life, your presence matters far more than prescriptions. What they need most isn't a cure. It's comfort. It's dignity. It's the warm, calming assurance that they're not alone. The greatest comfort we can offer in the end is the knowledge that they're not alone. Final reflections. As we come to the close of this video, I invite you to pause, just for a moment, and let everything we've explored truly settle in. We've talked about 5 deeply meaningful signs: noticeable weight loss, severe fatigue, declining mental clarity, frequent infections, and significant changes in breathing and circulation. These aren't just symptoms. They're the body's quiet signals, whispering that the final transition may be near. They often emerge gradually, sometimes subtly. They may not all appear at once, and they may be easy to overlook, until suddenly, they're not. For many families, recognizing these signs can feel overwhelming. There's a deep and natural urge to fight, to encourage our loved ones to eat more, to get up and move around, to push past the tiredness. But sometimes, the most loving thing we can do is to stop pushing and start listening. Because their body might not be asking for more effort. It might be asking for peace. Understanding these signs isn't about surrendering to fear. It's about preparing with compassion. It's about honoring the sacredness of this final chapter with open eyes and open hearts. When you're able to recognize these changes early, you can step in with gentleness, not panic. You can make thoughtful choices ahead of time, and you can create a space that feels soft, safe, and full of love. Because this isn't just about how they leave this world. It's about how they are held, in love, in dignity, in presence, as they go. This time, the weeks or months ahead, isn't only about loss. It's about legacy. It's a chance to share stories, to laugh at old memories, to hold their hand just a little longer, and to make sure they feel how deeply they are valued, how deeply they are loved, and that they are never, ever alone. If you're noticing these signs in someone dear to you, take a breath. You are not alone. Thousands of families have walked this quiet, tender path before you. It's never easy, but knowing what to expect can give you clarity. It can bring you patience, and more than anything, it can offer peace. Thank you, truly, for spending this time with us today. We'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below. Share one thing that stood out to you and how you plan to carry it with you in your life or relationships. Your voice matters, and your words inspire us more than you know. If this video touched your heart, if it helped you feel a little more prepared, a little more understood, please like it, share it with someone who may need it, and subscribe to stay with us for the next part of this journey.